Hi, welcome to another episode of Jeev from a Part Car. Today we are talking about emotional intelligence. We are going to talk about it in a simplified manner. Well, emotional intelligence is like a language. It's about talking with each other in a way that we understand a bit better on what is being communicated. And once we understand how do we manage our response, how do we frame our reply, frame our interaction, this is exactly like learning a new language where you understand some words to start with, but you really understand a language when you understand things like sarcasm, things like humor, things like feelings, and so on and so forth. So primarily we know emotional intelligence even before we knew our actual languages that we learned. Even before you learned your mother tongue, English or French or whatever it is, even before that we were talking with emotions with our parents, our siblings, friends, and so on and so forth. So having said that, what do we do with it? Especially because it is called intelligence, we need to use it. Now, the key thing I want to tell you is many a time what we do is we try to analyze someone else's emotions and understand that, okay, this must be what that person intended to say. And this is where we kind of go wrong, because more than analyzing another person, you got to analyze yourself first. What do you feel and what do you want to feel? Because that determines your response back. And then your response is going to have some kind of response in the person in front of you, and the communication continues. So the second point I wanted to emphasize was, in addition to analyzing to some extent what other people are thinking and what other people may be meaning, look at yourself, look at your own emotions to start with. The third point I wanted to say was, how do we then practice emotional intelligence? How do we start making use of it? Point number one is tune into the emotions. Look for clues on what is being conveyed other than the words. The second one, once you tune in, then you should respond to it. And respond in kind, in the kind of expressions, body language, physical or emotional expressions, and to a great extent the right choice of words as well. And once you have tuned in, once you have started responding, the third part is to connect and interact, because communication is a two-way street, and it's never one way. Having said that, the last point I wanted to mention is what's a good way to become more emotionally intelligent. In fact, the trick for me is wait and respond instead of reacting. Because when we react, we are actually not even listening to the person in front of us. We are preparing the answers. In fact, there is a saying that a lot of people listen not to hear but to reply. That's really part of the story. You're missing out the bigger picture perhaps. So sometimes the best reply is no reply. Take a moment to reply. Perhaps you will have a far better emotional relationship with the person you are trying to communicate, and that will definitely make you far better in emotional intelligence. I believe this was useful to you. See you next time. Step it up.